Is Seth Rogen the best comic book producer? That's the question I'm going to answer in this video essay. Here at the Reel Analyst, you get a real analysis of your favorite films and shows. Hit the notification bell and subscribe for deeper dives. Many of you watching this video may know of Seth Rogen as a comedic actor who got his teeth cut with shows like Freaks and Geeks and comedy films like Superbad and Pineapple Express. But Rogen is more than just a funny guy. He's also a talented writer, producer, and overall creator. Rogen started his career as an actor in the early 2000s, appearing in films such as Donnie Darko and The 40-Year-Old Virgin. He quickly established himself as a rising star in comedy, thanks to his irreverent humor and his ability to connect with audiences. In 2007, Rogen co-wrote and starred in the cult classic Superbad, which became a critical and commercial success. The film helped to solidify Rogen's reputation as a comedy force to be reckoned with. He followed up Superbad with a string of successful comedy films, including Pineapple Express, Knocked Up, and This Is the End. In addition to his acting work, Rogen has also been active as a producer and writer. What some of you may or may not know is that Seth Rogen has been involved in some of the most critically acclaimed and popular comic book adaptations of the last decade, including The Boys, an Amazon Prime Video series that's based on the comic book of the same name by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. Invincible, an animated series based on the comic book of the same name by Robert Kirkman. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, an animated film reboot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. In this video, we're going to take a look at his track record and argue that he's the best comic book producer in the business. Before we begin, I want to give a shout out to Seth Rogen's partner, Evan Goldberg, and their production company, Point Grey Pictures. They've been one of the best creators in Hollywood. The reason I'm focusing on Seth is because he has been a face and/or voice in all of these projects, whether it's producing, writing, or acting. So if you're a fan of Seth Rogen, or you're just a fan of comic book adaptations, I think you'll enjoy this video essay. I'll be discussing some light spoilers, so please be warned. Also, be sure to like and subscribe. Now, let's dive in. The Green Hornet. Seth Rogen's first major comic book adaptation, which he co-wrote and starred in alongside Jay Chow. The film was directed by Michel Gondry. The Green Hornet was not a critical or commercial success, but it was an important learning experience for Rogen and his team. It gave them the opportunity to work with a big studio and a high budget. Drawing heavily from the 1960s television series, the film channeled the spirit of its most popular incarnation, featuring Van Williams as the Green Hornet and the iconic Bruce Lee as his skilled sidekick, Kato. Now, I personally enjoyed the Green Hornet. I thought it was a fun and lighthearted take on the superhero genre, with a lot of action, humor, and heart. The film was a faithful adaptation of the original comic book, but it also took some liberties with the source material. For example, the film made Kato, the Green Hornet's sidekick, a more equal partner in the crime-fighting duo. The film also updated the setting to modern times, and it gave the Green Hornet a more technological edge. The film, of course, has his famous car and featured a good number of gadgets as well. However, the film was a critical and commercial disappointment, grossing only $227 million worldwide against a production budget of $120 million. The reason why was because the production was a disaster, with tons of studio interference and a lack of experience with a high budget. Rogen had this to say.
If there's like one thing I look back on more than anything is like, what is the problem there? It was just like the budget. Like we can't make a really edgy, fun movie for our types of people for that amount of money. Like there's just too much
money.
There's just too much skepticism that it draws.
Money, more problems.
More money, more problems. The studio wants to, like, you can't take risks. Like, they wouldn't let us take risks anyway. The script is under great scrutiny, like the lines, the characters, the dialogue. You should have a father, there should be this, there should be that. And we're just like, okay, we just want to kind of, get it made and not waste all this time. And then things like the action sequences, which are really like where all the money's getting spent, go under no scrutiny whatsoever. No one looks at it. No one looks at the previs. No one looks at the storyboards. The studio, like, literally, like, what we spent, like, $50 million on, like, no one checks out. And, like, that's what's crazy, is, like, the way the money was spent, and I think probably is spent on a lot of these movies, was crazy when you look back at it.
While The Green Hornet's critical reception wasn't what anyone hoped for, the film unexpectedly transformed into a valuable lesson for Seth Rogen and his team. They navigated the complexities of a high-budget production, equipping them with skills and knowledge that paved the road for their future triumphs. 5 years after the release of Green Hornet, Rogen returned to his television roots and the world of comic book adaptations. Preacher is an American supernatural adventure television series developed by Sam Catlin, Evan Goldberg, and Seth Rogen for AMC, starring Dominic Cooper, Joseph Gilgan, and Ruth Negga. The series is based on the comic book series Preacher, created by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, and published by DC Comics' Vertigo imprint. The series premiered on May 22, 2016, and concluded on September 29, 2019, after 4 seasons. It follows Jesse Custer, a preacher who is possessed by a supernatural entity that gives him the power to make people do whatever he says. Jesse teams up with his ex-girlfriend Tulip and his vampire friend Cassidy to hunt down God and demand answers. Preacher is a darkly funny and violent series that explores themes of religion, faith, and free will. It's been praised by critics for a unique vision and its bold storytelling. The series has also been a commercial success, with seasons premiering at #1 on AMC. Preacher is a perfect example of Seth Rogen's unique style of filmmaking. It's a funny, violent, and thought-provoking series that is not afraid to take risks. Preacher is a must-watch for fans of comic book adaptations, dark humor, and unique storytelling. The show has a 91% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with the consensus reading, Preacher is a darkly funny, violent, and thought-provoking adaptation of the comic book that is not for the faint of heart, that is sure to please fans of dark humor, supernatural stories, and comic book adaptations. It's a unique canon, and her star are brought to life in a way that is both. Move on to The Boys is a dark satirical take on the superhero genre, and it's been praised by critics for its sharp writing, intense violence, and subversive humor. Rogen is one of the executive producers of the show, and he has been instrumental in bringing it to life. The show and comic put a twist on the superhero genre. Not only are the heroes not really heroes, most of them are in it for the fame, glory, and corporate profits. The Seven, which is your classic superhero team, is run by Vought, which is a company that markets these heroes as if they were brands. They create merchandise and movies, have their heroes doing sponsorships and commercials. What's interesting is that most of these heroes aren't bad, some truly have good intentions. However, once they get involved with Vought, it's all about branding and money. Rogen and his frequent collaborator Evan Goldberg were also fans of the comic book series. I remember when the first issue came out, Rogen said in a 2023 interview with Total Film. We were big fans of Garth Ennis because we'd read Preacher already, and we picked it up. We had the same reaction that I think people are having now. Oh, we've been reading Marvel and DC for the past 15 years, and now there's starting to be stuff like this, which is a great addition to the landscape. It's in the same genre, but it's not made for younger audiences. If anything, it's more for adults. The Boys is a well-done and acclaimed show for a number of reasons. First, it's a dark, satirical take on the superhero genre that challenges the conventions of the genre. It's not afraid to show the dark side of superheroes, and it often makes fun of the superhero tropes that we have come to expect. Second, the show has sharp writing, intense violence, and subversive humor. The writing is witty and clever, the violence is graphic and shocking, and the humor is often dark and biting. This combination of elements makes the show both entertaining and thought-provoking. Boasting a powerhouse cast, The Boys thrives on exceptional performances. Carl Urban embodies the gruff Billy Butcher, while Jack Quaid brings vulnerability to Huey. Anthony Starr shines as the terrifying Homelander, and Aaron Moriarty's Starlight radiates hope amidst the darkness. Chase Crawford's The Deep is hilariously misguided, and Giancarlo Esposito's Stan Edgar exudes quiet menace. Together, they breathe life into these complex characters, making them both entertaining and deeply human. There are so many great dramatic scenes. For example, whenever Homelander is around, any character they are usually afraid of him, and most don't talk back and follow orders. However, Stan Edgar is one of the very few characters who goes verbally toe-to-toe with Homelander and is unafraid of him. Esposito is so good at his role, you truly believe he's not scared of Homelander, and he's the one really pulling all the strings. So let's take a look at some characters and how the show improves on them. Billy Butcher. Originally, Butcher is a one-dimensional character who's motivated by revenge. He's a violent and ruthless killer who's willing to do whatever it takes to take down the Supes. In the show, Butcher is still a violent and ruthless killer. but he is also a complex character with a tragic backstory. We learn about his childhood trauma and his hatred of soups, which makes him more understandable and sympathetic. Also, his storyline with his wife, and it shows his heart and how far he's willing to go for her. Huey Campbell. In the comics, Huey is a mostly passive character who's manipulated by Butcher. He's a good-hearted guy who's just trying to get by, but he's not very capable of standing up for himself. In the show, Huey is still a good-hearted guy, but he's also more capable and assertive. He stands up to Butcher and other soups, and he's not afraid to fight for what he believes in. The show centers us around this world mostly through Huey's perspective, and it does a good job in showing how he changes and grows each season. In the comics, Starlight is a naive and idealistic character. She's also sexually assaulted by several members of the team. In the show, Starlight is still idealistic, but she's also more cynical and street smart. She's not easily corrupted, and she stands up to the Seven when they do wrong. The show also explores her sexual assault in more detail, and it shows how it affects her character and her relationships. Overall, Starlight is a much more complex and nuanced character in the show than she is in the comics. She's a more believable and relatable character, and she's a more compelling protagonist. Starlight is one of the few soups that actually tries to be a hero throughout the whole show. In the comics, Homelander is a sadistic and narcissistic psychopath. He is the most powerful soup in the world, and he uses his power to get whatever he wants. In the show, Homelander, played by the amazing Anthony Starr, is still a sadistic and narcissistic psychopath, but he's also more complex and nuanced. We learn about his upbringing and his insecurities, which makes him more believable and terrifying. Each season opens up a new layer, mostly focusing on family and the trauma of not having one. These characters are all well acted and well written. They're all believable and relatable, even though they are often doing some pretty crazy things. In addition to all these factors, The Boys is also well done because it tackles complex and timely issues, such as corporate greed, government corruption, and the dangers of unchecked power. Supporting characters such as The Boys member Mother's Milk, portrayed by Laz Alonso, he has ties with the Seven and wants to take them down for personal reasons. But where his character and story really shine is when he's with his daughter. It shows his fatherly side and also deals with modern issues of raising a child in two different households and dealing with some racial tension with his daughter's stepfather, who is a huge fan of Homelander, by the way. Then there are the other two members of The Boys, Frenchie and Kimiko. Seeing their relationship develop and how much they care about each other truly deepens the world and story as a whole. The show cares about its characters and its audience, and it wants to make us think about the world we live in. I love The Boys for its over-the-top comedy, its well-developed characters, and its dramatic moments. It's not just a show about evil superheroes. It's not even about a group of vigilantes trying to take down these soups. To me, it's about messed up people who are in positions of power, and everyone is in a morally gray area. Sure, there are your scumbags like Homelander, Soldier Boy, and the Deep, but there is a reason why they are like that. And also, you have good people like Queen Maeve, A-Train, who battles with his identity, and even a compelling story for Black Noir in Season 3. I appreciate the way the show explores the dark side of superheroism, and not just the classic someone is trying to take over the world. It showed that Seth Rogen is not afraid to challenge the conventions of the superhero genre, and that he's able to create something that's both entertaining and thought-provoking. He's willing to take risks, and that he's not afraid to push the boundaries of what's acceptable on television. Since The Boys has been a critical and commercial success for Amazon Prime Video, Season 4 is on the way, and it's also spawned an animated spin-off series called The Boys Presents Diabolical, a live-action spin-off series called Gen V released in fall 2023, and I'm pleased to say it was a well-done show. With high praise from critics and fans alike, Gen V fits perfectly in the Boys verse, and it's been renewed for a second season. If you'd like a deeper look into the Boys, please comment below, and I'll gladly analyze the characters and each season. Now, let's take a look at Seth Rogen's next great adaptation.
He'll need to be...
Invincible is an animated superhero show on Amazon Prime Video that I absolutely loved. It's based on the comic book series of the same name by Robert Kirkman, and it follows Mark Grayson, a teenager who discovers that he has superpowers just like his father Omni-Man, the most powerful superhero on the planet. As Mark develops his powers, he learns that his father's legacy may not be as heroic as it seems. Invincible is a great show for a number of reasons. First, the animation is top-notch. The show uses a unique cel-shaded style that gives it a retro feel, but it's also incredibly fluid and dynamic. The action sequences are some of the best I've seen in any animated show, and the character designs are all very memorable. Second, the story is incredibly well written. The show does a great job of balancing humor and drama. The characters are all complex and relatable, and the show does a great job of exploring the themes of family, responsibility, and identity.
I'm feeling pizza. I can be to Naples and back before the cheese stops bubbling.
Let the delivery guy do it tonight.
Sure.
Mark, why don't you call William?
Do what? Hang out? Go buy comic books? After this?
Watch the tone.
It's okay.
No, it's not. This is new. I get it, but you need to keep that separate.
Third, the voice acting is phenomenal. The cast is stacked with A-list talent, including Stephen Yeun, J.K. Simmons, Sandra Oh, Mark Hamill, and Seth Rogen plays the character of Alan the Alien, who's an evaluation officer for the Coalition of Planets. He brings a lot of humor and heart to the role.
Oh, there we go. Hello, that's much better.
His name is Mark, and he's only half Viltrumite.
Unbelievable.
I know. It sounds bad, but he is not like them. He didn't even know what a Viltrumite was until recently.
How is that possible?
He's a good guy, not a conqueror.
So far.
Have you guys been listening at all? For years, we've been searching for a hole in the Viltrumite's armor. This could be it.
I loved Invincible because it reminded me of the Bruce Timm's animated Justice League show. It had the same great animation, humor, and action, but it also tackled more mature themes. The first episode's shocking ending and the shocking last episode are something I'll never forget. I highly recommend Invincible to anyone who loves superhero shows or animated shows in general. The title cards in Invincible are a great example of how the show uses animation to its advantage, gradually getting more and more bloody as the show progresses. This is a great way to visually represent the show's increasing violence, and it also serves as a reminder of the stakes of Mark's journey. I love the title cards in Invincible because they were different and unique. I had never seen anything like them before, and they really stood out to me. They were also a great way to set the tone for the show, and they made me excited to see what was coming next. I think the title cards in Invincible are a great example of how animation can be used to tell a story in a new and innovative way. They were different, unique, and visually striking, and they really helped to make the show stand out. In 2023, an episode focusing solely on Adam Eve was released. It delved deeper into her character and opened the door for potential spin-offs. Picking up seamlessly where it left off, Invincible's second season, released in November 2023, captivated audiences with its immersive world-building and top-notch production. The second half is eagerly awaited, with a projected release sometime in 2024. Overall, Invincible is a great show that I highly recommend. It's a superhero show that's not afraid to tackle mature themes, and it's some of the best animation and voice acting I've seen in any animated show. Now, let's talk about his most recent adaptation. On August 2nd, 2023, the animated film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem was released.
You ratted us out.
Hey, don't use that word that way.
It's 2023. Sorry, Dad.
Mutant Mayhem is a reboot of the popular Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise that takes a more family-friendly approach. The film has been praised by critics and fans alike for its humor, action, heart, and faithfulness to the source material. At the time of this video, the film grossed over $100 million and had a $70 million budget. It's important to say that the film was released during the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA strikes, and it had prevented the writers such as Rogen and the whole cast to do any press tours. The Turtles are played by actual teens.
Can I kick it?
Lady Noon is Raphael.
I dream about fighting every night.
We got Micah Abbey as Donatello.
You're fine, chill.
Nicholas Cantu is Leonardo.
We're really sorry, Splinter. Some of the guys wanted to get pizza and I tried to talk them out of it. Leo! You cannot.
Jamon Brown Jr. is Michelangelo.
Why did we pick a fruit shaped exactly like my head?
The supporting cast features Ayo Edebiri as April O'Neil, Seth Rogen, John Cena, Giancarlo Esposito, Jackie Chan, Ice Cube, Paul Rudd, Post Malone, and many more. It's unfortunate we didn't get to see a press run with this amazing and diverse cast. Mutant Mayhem follows the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as they come out of hiding to protect New York City from a new threat, an army of mutants unleashed by the evil Baxter Stockman. Having actual teens voice these characters makes them feel young and fresh. The writing also modernized them while staying true to each of the Turtles' character as we know them. In an interview with Collider back in August 2020, Rogen had this to say about the film. As a lifelong fan of Ninja Turtles, weirdly, the teenage part of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was always the part that stuck out to me the most. And as someone who loves teenage movies, and who's made a lot of teenage movies, and who literally got their start in their entire profession by writing a teenage movie, the idea of kind of honing in on that element was really exciting to us. I mean, not disregarding the rest, but really using that as kind of a jumping off point for the film. As the film plays out, the teenage part of the Turtles is what gets featured the most. It's, however, a nice change of pace, and you can clearly see Rogen's vision taking the center stage for this adaptation. The young cast are really funny, and you can tell they gel together really well. Overall, I thought Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem was an entertaining film. It was funny, action-packed, heartwarming, and faithful to the source material. I would definitely recommend it to fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, or anyone who just wants a fun and entertaining movie to watch. So what's next for this incarnation of the Turtles? The movie was set up for a sequel in the post-credits scene, with a teaser to a major villain, and Point Grey will produce both the sequel and a series. Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles currently has 2 seasons in the works, and will take place between the events of the feature film and the forthcoming sequel. The series is slated to premiere on Paramount Plus in 2024. Also, a video game tie-in based on the film from publisher Outright Games is scheduled for a 2024 release. To conclude, Rogen and his team were able to take this long-running IP and reinvent it again, with new character designs and a modern take, while still paying homage to its serious comic roots and previous incarnations. I would definitely recommend Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem to fans of the franchise or anyone who just wants a fun and entertaining movie to watch. Seth Rogen's work as a comic book producer shows that he has a unique vision for bringing these stories to life on screen. He's not afraid to take risks, and he always strives to create something that is both faithful to the source material and also fresh and exciting. He's a true fan of the genre, and he has a passion for bringing these stories to life in a way that will entertain and engage audiences of all ages. It's refreshing to see something different from the MCU, which has started to feel a bit stale in Phase 4, and the disaster of the DCEU. I truly believe that Rogen and his team are firing on all cylinders, and that any adaptation they work on now, or in the future, will be high quality, engaging, and entertaining. They have a deep understanding of the source material, and they always find a way to provide a fresh take on the characters and stories, as evidenced by their amazing work on The Boys and Invincible. With that being said, I can't wait to see what's next. I hope you enjoyed this video on Seth Rogen's work as a comic book producer. He's a true fan of the genre, and he has a passion for bringing these stories to life in a way that is both entertaining and thought-provoking. If you're interested in seeing more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, here at the Reel Analyst, you get a real analysis of your favorite films and shows. Thanks for watching.